Remember Shiloh Hendrix, the Minnesota mom who brought her son to the park to play back in April, and then the anchor baby of a Somali immigrant stole something from her purse, and in a fit of anger and shock, she called the little thief a word, the most powerful word in the world, a magical word, the word that rhymes with digger. And then the anchor baby's father, or a bystander, pulled out their phone and confronted her about it, daring her to say it again, which then she did, resulting in a mass cancellation mob forming online, doxxed and harassed her, fired from her job, resulting in normal Americans helping raise $800,000 for her GoFundMe page. Okay, of course, not that she needed that much money to kind of get back on her feet and recover, but really as a symbolic gesture that when the cancel culture, black fragility mob tries to ruin someone's life for using a little word, then we need to counter that by boosting them higher than they could possibly even imagine financially in order to send a message that we're not going to tolerate that anymore. Well, here we are 4 months later, and she may be arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. Okay, 4 months later, the Rochester City Attorney's Office has been investigating and undoubtedly unable to get over their black fragility. Their lives have been just utterly destroyed because a white woman called the little thief a name. Again, as an excited utterance. Usually don't want to be calling kids that, but, it's kind of in the heat of the moment. Like when you stub your toe, you can't help but swear sometimes, even if you're in front of kids. Okay, that's what she did. I personally couldn't care less if people use the N-word to describe certain kinds of behavior. And again, that's what it's for. It's not about an entire race. It's describing a subset of that race, but people just can't understand that or don't want to understand it, so they use their outrage or fake outrage to leverage power over white people. So anyway, the local attorney's office has submitted a legal complaint that must be approved by a district court judge, which is highly unlikely that will happen. But they want her to be charged and arrested for several counts of disorderly conduct for wrongfully and unlawfully engaging in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or noisy conduct, or in offensive, obscene, or abusive language that would reasonably tend to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others, which is the kind of charge if someone is like shouting and screaming and making a scene, okay, that is disorderly conduct, not calling a little thief one name in a park as an excited utterance, a reaction to their thievery. But what do you expect in a state that has been overrun by Somali invaders? This is Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, celebrating Somali Independence Day, a obvious foreign holiday in a country and a continent halfway around the world, and he learned some of their language in order to do it.
Mahat Senate, Magayegawa, Jacob Fry, Yarub, Doka Magalada, Minneapolis.
This is what happened to America after being overrun by foreigners in Democrat strongholds. Now, in order for politicians to get elected or stay elected, they have to not only cater to the foreign invaders, but learn their language and celebrate their holidays from their homeland. This Somali invader, Somali immigrant is also running for mayor of Minneapolis, and this is one of his latest campaign stops.
Congresswoman Adashane.
Yeah.
See that I
Import the third world and become the third world. Meanwhile, in Chicago, another Democrat stronghold, the mayor over there is upset that President Trump wants to send troops there, just like he did to Washington, D.C., which basically has reduced the crime rate there to almost nothing. He is very upset about that and considering it racist to stop crime in Chicago.
As the mayor of this city, I can tell you that Chicagoans are not calling for a military occupation. They are calling for the same thing that we've been calling for some time, and that's investment. What safe cities across America all have in common
is certain kind of demographics, which we're not supposed to talk about. A very minimum group of one particular kind.
The best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the away. Wherever you have to go, just get away.
We need the federal resources to make sure that we're building more affordable housing, expanding mental and behavioral health care, education, all of these things that could reduce crime and provide real community safety. Instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars for a publicity stunt to invoke chaos and terror, the federal government should spend that money on proven solutions to crime and violence reduction.
The proven solutions are arresting criminals and keeping them in jail, not just letting them out with their no cash bail Democrat policies and letting them skate on little to no punishment because it would be racist to punish black criminals.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world.
That's right, because there are a lot of criminals in America, not just in Washington, D.C. within Congress, but street criminals as well. And because there aren't enough prisons and jails to house them, they get let out with extremely light sentences or no sentence.
The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down.
Arresting criminals is racist. Believe it or not, there are many people in Chicago, however, that are tired of the black crime problem, most of which are other black people.
Our children can't walk around the community without fear of being hurt or kidnapped or having a drive-by. So it's what these numbers that they're expressing.
They're claiming that the crime rate has been dropping in Chicago because there's something like, one or two fewer murders this year than in previous years so far.
We don't feel it in our quality of life.
CNN was surprised to learn that there are many black people in Chicago who are tired of the crime, and the Democrat mayor and the Democrat governor are doing absolutely nothing to stop it and are welcoming President Trump sending the National Guard there.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
Well, there's like one less murder this year so far. I mean, why do we need to lower it anymore?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded.
Especially with the police being defunded. But if you tune in to CNN or MSNBC, which is soon to be MS Now, they're rebranding because NBC News doesn't want to be associated with MSNBC anymore because as bad as even NBC's broadcast news is, they're nowhere close to the insanity of MSNBC. So if you tune in to any of those networks, then the morons who believe what they say think that Donald Trump is a fascist who's taking over America.
Think about what Donald Trump is trying to do here. He is trying to establish police control over major cities. And he started with LA, but then he started on Washington. This is what the Nazis did in 1933. One of the first things they did in the spring of 1933 was to take over the state governments and the policing functions of the state governments.
He's not taking it over. He's just adding extra resources to help them. So again, let's compare and contrast the soulless liars on brand name liberal television networks with what the actual locals are saying about it.
So President Trump has not even had control over Washington, D.C. for 30 days. And I have on my For You page video after video showing D.C., specifically Union Station, and how clean and safe it is. People don't understand how big of a deal it is, specifically for Union Station, because there is a bridge, whether it's the bypass, it's either 95, 395, or 495, where the homeless, as well as people who are abusing drugs, as well as the drug dealers, they just squat. It's clean. It's all gone. People don't understand how big of a deal this is because the Capitol is right there within like a 6 or 7 minute walk. And then also local residents, they did not like walking there, whether in the daytime or the evening. Some people would take taxis just to avoid any type of encounters. And people have been talking about cleaning this up for a decade. And you mean to tell me President Trump hasn't even had control for 30 days and he cleaned it all up?
Yes, in fact, the city just had one of their longest streaks without a murder, which when you realize that's only 12 days, not even 2 weeks, it is pretty sad, showing what a complete cesspool the city is. But that is one of the longest streaks in recent history without one. And speaking of crime, hopefully we'll get some indictments soon of the Marxist Democrats who tried to ruin President Trump's life, throw him in prison, and the neocons like John Bolton, who just had his home searched for classified material. Trump's Department of Justice has criminal investigations open into Adam Schiff and Letitia James. She's that diversity hire prosecutor in Manhattan who filed trumped-up charges against President Trump, claiming that Mar-a-Lago was only worth like $18 million, and he committed mortgage fraud by lying about the value of the assets because he listed that as an asset for getting a loan for one of his other buildings. And now she is under criminal investigation for mortgage fraud, the very thing that she accused President Trump of, because she and Adam Schiff lied on their mortgage applications when getting mortgages for rental properties, claiming that those were their primary residences because people get a lower interest rate when a mortgage is on a primary residence that they're living in as opposed to a property that they're renting out, because the banks figure that if the owner is in there, an owner-occupied house, that they're going to be able to take care of it better as opposed to a rental property. So both of them have, it looks like, committed mortgage fraud. But if you're dumb enough to tune into CNN, other than to monitor enemy propaganda like I do as your trusted media analyst, if you're dumb enough to tune in and actually believe what it is that they say, then you would be shocked that this is an unprecedented attack and abuse of the legal system.
Well, this crusade, a criminal crusade against political adversaries is completely unprecedented in all of American history. I think that's true. Now, when the Bolton matter, I think in fairness to the Justice Department, it needs to be pointed out that those search warrants were approved by an independent magistrate, both in New York and in Washington and Maryland.
Oh.
So there was at least some check observed.
So there is some smoke coming out of that fire.
But when you look at the full range of criminal investigations, whether it's Senator Adam Schiff or New York Attorney General Tish James or Lisa Cook, the Fed,
I forgot about her. She did it too.
Governor who was the president attempted to fire today. Whether that's legal is a separate question. Miles Taylor, who's on tonight. All of these are political adversaries under criminal investigation. And I should add to that list Barack Obama, whom the president said committed treason and is now under investigation.
Barack Obama is not getting indicted, definitely not going to jail, but there is a decent chance that Adam Schiff, Letitia James, and this Federal Reserve governor do get indicted for mortgage fraud and convicted, although highly unlikely they would actually go to jail. They would just, in my opinion, be given civil penalties. But that would be a nice little start to our revenge, because for the rest of their life then, they would be known as convicted criminals. I was going to do a video on President Trump's executive order about the flag burning. I don't know if that's old news, or maybe I could do that later this week. There's a lot that I have to say about that, a lot of misinformation going around about that. One thing I will say about it in this video is this veteran who was arrested outside of the White House for burning the American flag after President Trump's executive order was arrested for nothing having to do with the executive order. He lit something on fire. It wouldn't matter what it was. You're not allowed to just set things on fire out in public, especially in a public park. So that's why this guy was arrested for starting a fire in a public park without a permit. The incident has led to countless fake news headlines like this from NBC News. Flag burning incident near White House leads to arrest hours after Trump's executive order, which reminds me, I do sell an Operation Mockingbird shirt in my online store at markdice.com, which happens to be one of my favorites, by the way. So head on over there and order that or your I Love White People shirt or any of my awesome designs, all available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. And now women's designs and tank tops. Even though summer's kind of winding down, you can still go and get them for those who live in warm climates. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.